Together today, we're here to share a spirit of learning and dialogue to explore the topic on reassessing two-state solution, a critical examination of Palestinians' future. Before we dive into today's agenda, allow me to formally introduce myself. My name is Amalia Putri Samira, or you can call me Amal, serving as your MC for today's webinar. It is my pleasure to be your host this afternoon. To officially commence today's webinar, we're honored to have the Director Executive of International Politics Forum with us today. Let us warmly welcome Mr. Aprilian Cena to deliver his opening remarks. Mr. Cena, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom and good afternoon. First of all, I want to say thank you for His Excellency Sir Makarim Wibisono. And also I want to thank you, Professor Rami Nasrallah. Today we will talk about a critical examination of Palestinian future. Maybe all of you saw the video in the International Politics Forum. We are in the 5 years from 2020 until right now, and we always make a webinar indirectly or indirectly, and usually we invite ambassador or ex-ambassador and international expertises and public policy or department, and etc. Today we want to discuss about concept two-state solution. That's why we invite Professor Rami Nasrallah and His Excellency Sir Makarim. We want to know what is the mean two-state solution. This is the real solution or not to Palestine or to Israel, and how about the single state solution. That's why we want to discuss about Palestine in the future. You know, in the last month, President Prabowo Subianto come to the United Nations Assembly and say to the freedom to the Palestine, and most of the country in the world also say the freedom to the Palestine. But this is not the last struggle to the Palestine. Maybe just it for me, and thanks for all participants, and thanks all our speaker, and thanks also for Amal for Master of Ceremony, and thanks for Annisa Sekar for our moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for your inspiring words, Mr. Sena. With that, we'll now proceed to the next part of our session. Following the opening remarks, we shall now begin the main discussion of today's webinar. We shall be passing the floor to our moderator, Annisa Sekar Nuraini. Annisa, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for Amal as Master of Ceremony for allowing me to take over the event. Good afternoon, participants. Welcome to the webinar, Reassessing Two-State Solution, a critical examination of Palestine's future by International Politics Forum. Before we get into the main event that you have been waiting for, allow me to introduce myself first. I'm Annisa Sekar Nuraini, a staff member of International Politics Forum, who will be guiding our session today as a moderator. Before we start, I would like to remind all of the participants to mute themselves, open the speaker presentation to prevent any disruption, and please mind to keep our discussion in respect. Okay, so let's move to our discussion, but first of all, let me greet and introduce our distinguished speakers. There are His Excellencies Mr. Makarim Wibisono. Hello, Mr. Makarim.
Hello.
It's such an honor to having you here. And yeah, previously, Mr. Makarim was the permanent representative of Indonesia to the United Nations, director of the Directorate General of the Foreign Economic Relations and Foreign Department, director of the Directorate General of Asia Pacific and Africa Foreign Department, and have several ambassadors that shown his accomplished and capabilities as a practitioner of the international issues. Once again, welcome His Excellencies Mr. Makarim, and we're glad to having you here and can wait to have a great discussion with you. And move into our second speakers, let me greet and introduce our distinguished speakers too. Mr. Professor Rami Nasrallah. Hello, Professor Rami.
Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. It's such an honor to having you here. So, participants, Professor Rami is one of the founder of the Regional Institute for Sustainable Development Jerusalem, founder and the chairman of the International Peace and Cooperation Center in East Jerusalem in 1899, member of the board of Youth Development Foundation, and many more experience that he accomplished for the issue of Palestine and Israel. Once again, welcome Professor Rami, and it's such a great to have a discussion with you here today. Okay, everyone. Let's start our first session, which is the material presenting by Mr. Makarim Wibisono. So, Mr. Makarim, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am very much express my appreciation for the invitation from RPC to join your discussion today. Yeah, I was assigned to speak about reassessing the two-state solution, critical examination of Palestine future. I myself was focusing and then also studying the issues while start quite long, and then I was appointed as a UN Secretary, UN Special Rapporteur on Palestine for several years, and I know how was the nature of the conflict, and then I was actually very concerned about the future of the conflict itself. So I am pleased to start my presentation with regard to the origin of the conflict. Yeah. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. Yeah. As you were aware, yeah, the idea of having the Jews, the place, yeah, in Middle East is actually come from the Foreign Minister Balfour from the British. At that time, the British situation was critical on the war, on the First World War, and then they need badly the support to get such kind of ammunition, as well as the support of financial from the Jewish community. At the time, they give such kind of like opportunity for the Jewish to establish the independence of Israel in 1948. At the time, the 5 Arab nations, attacked the situation, and then they aim to uproot Zionists from the former Palestinian territory, spanning from the Mediterranean Sea to the Jordan River. And then the conflict come and go for more than 15 conflict. But I would like to touch the current conflict, on the 7th of October 2023, when Hamas and other Palestinian paramilitary groups launched a surprise attack on Israel and then killing more than 1,000 Israelis. Next, please. The situation was very critical, and then this is actually make such kind of like a nervous to the Israeli government, because they never have idea that the Palestinian can attack in a such degree, and then so massive, and then they make like a counter attack, to try to focus on making the Palestinian situation getting worse and worse, and then focusing on Gaza. And then there are a lot of abuse of human rights, taken by the Israeli forces in Gaza, therefore, there was a decision of International Criminal Court, about the leaders of Israeli government, At its meeting on the 21st November 2024, International Criminal Court has reviewed the war crimes and the crime against humanity, and has publicly issued arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel. Also, Mr. Yoav Gallant, a former Minister of Defense of Israel. The allegation, are responsible for the war crime of starvation as a method of warfare. Also responsible for crime against humanity of murder, persecution, and other inhuman acts during the Gaza war. This is the first time the leader of Israel, who was supported by the Western countries, will be detained on accusation of war crime. Next, please. So 125 member countries of International Criminal Court are requested to arrest Netanyahu and Gallant when entering their respective territory, including those of Britain and France. International Criminal Court does not have the enforcement capacity, such as an ICC police, to help member country in carrying out arrest warrant. ICC member states that do not carry out arrest warrant are given sanction by the ICC. Next, please. This is also issues of the United Nations. The International Court of Justice, discuss deeply on the issues, and then also have a meeting on the 30th of January 2025. Some of the decisions are follows. One, Israeli action in occupying Palestine is unlawful, or it is illegal. Israel is requested to end the occupation as soon as possible. Israel is responsible for the reconstruction and rehabilitation of Palestine. Israel has to stop all new settlement. All member countries recognize the fact that Israel occupies the territory of Palestine. Next, please. So if we see the context of the situation right now, it's different with situation 20 years ago or 10 years ago. In the past, the situation at Palestine is occupied, and Israel to counter the Palestinian attack by sending bombs. But recently, of course, Israeli detained Palestinian leaders, but Israeli now are accused by the international community of human rights abuses. So the international community has changed or shifted their position toward the conflict. Next, please. So I want to touch on the issue of the current development. Since the serious attack of Palestine upon Israel on the 7th October 2023, world opinion has shifted toward the conflict between Palestine and Israel. Gaza conflict victims number remarkably high. 57,000 victims were killed, mostly mothers and children, due to intensive and massive Israeli Defense Force counterattacks. European countries such as Sweden, Ireland, Spain, UK, France, Australia have expressed support for the independence of Palestine now. In the past, all of them were very supportive on the position of Israel. But now they are supporting the independence of the Palestine. The youth in the United States, particularly university students, show their sympathy on the Palestinian struggle by supporting Palestinian independence. Next, please. I want to share with you, some development in international community. On the 31st January 2025, the Hague Group has been established in The Hague, Netherlands, in order to help the independence of Palestine. The principle of the Hague Group is in line with the objective of the United Nations as reflected in the Charter of the United Nations, especially on self-determination. The members of the Hague groups are South Africa, Cuba, Malaysia, Honduras, Colombia, Namibia, Bolivia, Senegal, and Belize. Next, please. So, therefore, there are so many initiatives and also approach taken by individual country to help the situation. I can mention Qatar, very active, Egypt, very active, United States, very active and supporting the Israel a lot. The Hague group, Indonesia will hopefully participate soon. Next, please. So I'm now is interested to touch on the issue of recent development in Palestine. The first ceasefire agreement in Gaza have been reached, pushed by the U.S. President Donald Trump. One tenet of the agreement involved the exchange of hostages. Efforts to settle the conflict have not achieved sustainable peace. Even the United Nations have not been successful in reaching any solution over the past 70 years. Indonesia needs to mobilize global solidarity to create a conducive climate toward attaining sustainable peace in Palestine. The traditional modality of negotiation on the conflict in Palestine, usually initiated by Western countries, now should be revitalized by the participation of Southern countries. Next, please. So I touch the need to have like a new cooperation pattern, that make such kind of like very important in order to create a climate, that are supporting the nation of Palestine to be independent. So one is there is need to capitalize on the International Court of Justice and International Criminal Court decision to arrest Netanyahu and Gallant for war crime in Palestine. The Global South should be mobilized to monitor the steps taken by member countries to comply with the ICJ and ICC decision. New strategy of global diplomacy and settling dispute multilaterally with wider participation involving regional forces create a more conducive climate. This cooperative pattern can be in the framework of the non-aligned movement as to infuse new perspective and inject the spirit of struggle to attain a stable peace. Next, please. Now, I would like to touch on the issue of the intention of US President Donald Trump. As you know, aware that Trump is eager to see Gaza free from Hamas and then be redeveloped into an area for international tourism. The United States will reconstruct Gaza such as to be free from any conflict and becoming the refuge of the Middle East. Palestinian and Arab countries do not like the formula of ethnic cleansing embedded in the Trump concept. Indonesia also doesn't like the concept of ethnic cleansing. As Donald Trump approach is not well supported, Palestinian and Arab countries seek for an alternative with higher chance of acceptance by relevant parties. Next, please. So, with the failure of the first concept of ceasefire of Donald Trump, Donald Trump renewed, idea to have such kind of like a way to create such kind of like a good opportunity to create a new approach on the conflict. Please try to use here. On the 29th September 2025, President Donald Trump organized a White House press conference to announce his new initiative on Gaza in the form of 20 points. This concept, according to Donald Trump, has been agreed by Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was present at the press conference. Donald Trump threatened Hamas that if they do not agree to his initiative by Sunday, the 5th October 2025, he will allow Israel Defense Forces to resume striking Gaza. In this context, the representative of Qatar and Egypt visited Doha in order to hold a dialogue with representatives of Hamas to discuss the detail of Donald Trump's initiative. Eventually, Hamas expressed its formal position of agreeing to the initiative, but reserved continued further discussion on several issues. Next, please. I want to explain about some important points in the Trump initiative. In the concept, Gaza will be de-radicalized and free from terror. Gaza will be redeveloped without affecting the Palestinian people out of Gaza, which is contrary to what had been stated by Donald Trump in the past. If the war is agreed to end, the Israeli Defense Force will withdraw into a baseline for the release of the hostages. This will effectively end all military operations. Hamas will be disarmed. After 72 hours of Israeli accepting the agreement, all hostages, either dead or alive, will be transferred by Hamas. If all the Israeli hostages are released, Israel will release 250 Palestinians imprisoned for life and 1,700 people of Gaza who have been detained by the IDF or Israel Defense Force. 6 foreign aid will be entering Gaza because people in Gaza are actually facing a very serious starvation. They are very critical. You know, the aid, such as humanitarian aid and rehabilitation of structure of water, electricity, and garbage, as well as hospitals and heavy instruments, are open for entering Gaza. Next, please. And then who will govern Gaza? You know, according to the text here, Gaza will be governed by a transitional government of Palestine, consisting of technocrats and government employees that are professional and free from political affiliation. The transitional government will be supervised by a board of peace that will be chaired by the US President Donald Trump, with members consisting of, among others, a former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Tony Blair. Gaza economy will be developed with the assistance of a panel of experts. There will be constructed a special economic zone in order to bolster economic growth of Gaza. Hamas will not participate in the transitional government. Next, please. Who will be in charge of security? According to the text, International Stabilization Force, or ISF, will be established and will be deployed in Gaza. ISF will be comprised of troops from Arab countries as well as from the United States. ISF is transitional until a permanent Palestinian military is well established. Israel will no longer occupy Gaza. The responsibility of security in Gaza will be in the hand of the ISF. There will be an interfaith dialogue in order to mitigate any possible religious tension. Next, please. Next, before this. Yeah, okay. All right. No, next. Next, please. No, before this. Stop. Before this, yes. Yeah, okay. What are Palestinian apprehensive about? So I want to be open to you. Yeah. In the agreement, Hamas shall disarm in order to maintain stability and avoid any possible tension. There is doubt whether the promise given by the United States and Israel, as reflected in the agreement, will be implemented. This become a concern over you shall ensure security while Hamas no longer has access to armament. Second, based on past experience, Palestinians are worried about the implementation of promises made by Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Three, some are worried about the wording of the independence of Palestine as reflected in the agreement. Next, please. According to the text, Palestinian state based on point 90. May I read it? This is exactly the same like what is reflected in the text. So while Gaza redevelopment advances and the Palestinian Authority reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which we recognize as the aspiration of the Palestinian people. I myself see, of course, this covers all issues. This covers also the possibility of the independence of Palestine. But the wording, is actually worrisome to me. Next, please. If Indonesia will play a role, what steps should be taken? One, Indonesia seek the opportunity to strengthening the notion of an independent Palestinian state. For Palestine, the desire to be independent is not only an aspiration, but a right of the Palestinian people. Two, Indonesia shall support the work of ISF and also the work of Board of Peace by sending the government peacekeeping troop to assist ISF in maintaining the peace and security of Palestine, as well as monitoring the situation in Gaza as a member of Board of Peace in monitoring closely to the situation in Gaza. Three, Indonesia can support the economy of Palestine by its participation through a special economic zone. Next, please. So, conclusion, I would like to express first, Palestine as the only country that had participated in the Asia-Africa Conference in Bandung in 1955, which has not changed its status as a colonized country for more than 70 years. Two, based on its Constitution of 1945, Indonesia shall support any country struggling for independence free from colonization. Three, Indonesia's contribution should not be limited to humanitarian aid, medical supply, and food. Indonesia should be active in the negotiation of supporting the independence of Palestine in order to attain stable and sustainable peace. Next. May peace bestow upon Palestine. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Makarim, for your excellent explanation to us about this two-state solution. What is Mr. Makarim say is actually not about the two-state solution itself, but about what Indonesia shall do as parties to resolve this conflict. And Mr. Makarim was mentioning about the U.S. President Donald Trump idea, who is have a much important point like Gaza will be radicalized and free from terror, and release Palestinian imprisoned for life and people who have been detained by ITF. And then if Indonesia want to play a role, Indonesia can support ISF by sending Garuda peacekeeping and supporting Palestinian economic. But I see an interesting point, and the situation for me is confusing too, because we see that the United States itself was a country that we know is supporting Israel and have a long history about this Israel and Palestinian conflict. And we know that the US is opposing to Palestinian independence. So the situation will be hard for Palestinian and for us and international parties to believe that Donald Trump will be like peacekeeping for the Palestine itself. But we can see in the future what is the action from the USA itself. Okay, everyone, because we have a time limits, the Q&A session will be held after the material has been presented by our speakers. So if you have a question either for Mr. Makarim and for Professor Rami later, you can ask them in the end of the session. And now we jump into our second speakers, Professor Rami Nasrallah.
Yes,
Professor Rami.
Excuse me, before
Yes.
you give the floor to Professor, I just want to inform you that because of something important, I have to go to Yogyakarta. Yeah, so by 2 o'clock, I have to leave my house, and then you can ask me through my handphone, and then I will answer directly by phone. Yeah, thank you so much for you.
Oh, okay. So we can just have a Q&A session now, Mr. Makarim, or
Oh, if you want, please. Yeah, because at 2 o'clock I
okay.
have to leave from here.
Okay, everyone. So if you have any question or you feel confusing about the topic, you can ask them right now. If you don't have any questions, so it's was me to have a question.
Can I have the question?
Oh, sure.
The Mr. Makarim say the Israel occupation is unlawful and banded Israel to end the occupation and stop all unlawful. The ICJ ruling declares that Israel mandate to end the occupation and stop all new settlement. Given that ICJ has no police or military enforcement capacity, what are the specific next steps the UN Security Council or the UN General Assembly are expected to take beyond resolution or to compel compliance from a non-cooperative state like Israel?
All right. I will inform you that the United Nations, start from a long time ago, have tried their best to try to help the situation to resolve the conflict. But the problem is that the member the permanent member of Security Council, the United States, is supporting Israel for everything they want at all costs. Yeah. Therefore, there is no possibility of Security Council to decide any resolution that blame the Israel. Yeah. So therefore, if the regulation of Security Council has not been changed, we cannot expect a lot. Yeah. The contribution of United Nations to try to resolve the situation in Palestine. You know, but we can do a lot, to do also to help the Palestinian by mobilizing our friend, in the certain countries, and also try to come up with any contributions to help the Palestinian, to address the situation of starvation, the address the situation of the education of the children, to try to also to redevelop the Palestinian economy, and also try to make the Palestinian state as a very attractive state for international communication and relation. So I think, at this time, the process of negotiation of the ceasefire is actually conducted by the like-minded countries. Yeah. And then the United Nations is supported from behind, but it is not decision made by the United Nations. It is decided by like-minded countries, and then also by Hamas, as well as by Israel as a conflicting parties.
Okay, everyone. Do you have any question again? You can type them in the chat column or activate your raise hand feature. If you don't have any questions so far, I think I have one question, Mr. Makarim.
Yes.
Yes. I've been watching a lot of this two-state solution, and one of them who explain about this this two-state solution is Al Jazeera English, and they say that the two-state solution is worse, and the one-state solution is better, because the one-state solution, we must to help Palestine to reconstruction about their country first, and then help them to make the good governance. And they said that the two-state solution was a statement that was a safe statement that making by the politician. And as you mentioned before, the US was the initiative of the point of the idea that made by Donald Trump itself. While we know that the US is a country that's supporting Israel for a long time ago. And what is your opinion and your thought about it?
First, I would like to say that the international situation has changed. In the past, countries like UK, France, Germany, Spain, Australia, they are all very supportive on Israel. But now, all of them are in favor of Palestinian independence. Yeah. Secondly, that in the past, all the allegation by the international community is against, the problem of a rocket launched by Hamas. Yeah, this is highlighted by the Israeli. But now the problem is not about rocket launched by Hamas, but the problem now is the Israeli Defense Forces have become abuse of power. They are now committed to what they call it genocide. They are actually parties that are involved in the abusive, serious human rights allegation in Palestine, in Gaza. So now, international community has opened their eyes that they are now start realizing that the situation is very critical for helping the Palestinian people. Now, about the one country solution, yeah. If we talk with the Palestinian, the Israel, they always talk. Don't think about the two-state solution. You know, Benjamin Netanyahu always said in the past that I will never talk about the two-state solution. Yeah, because they want to see that all belong to Israel, and then the Palestinian are part of Israeli citizenship. But now, you know, Israel has agreed, you know, to see the two-state solution. In the past, also, the Arab country, you know, doesn't want to see the Zionism develop in the Middle East. You know, they're all together, hand in hand, try to fight against the Israel, but they never have successful in this issue. You see, last month we see that 1,000 children, mothers killed in in Gaza. Yeah, and then if we don't stop this the killing, there will continue to be more than 100, more than 200,000 people killed. Are we still continuing to see we do need one state solution because it's better and better than two-state solution? So is it now to think over which one is better and which one is not better? But the most important is one, yeah, there will be no killing anymore. Yeah. Two, there is independent for Palestinian people who has been under occupation for quite a long time. Yeah. So it is about time to give the Palestinian opportunity to be a strong Palestinian people, a strong Palestinian country, but not just talking about one state solution, but you are just silent, yeah, to see them killing by the Israeli. So this is the situation that now we are facing. So I'm is in favor to see this is the opportunity for the Palestinian to get independent.
Okay, Mr. Makarim, thank you so much. And we have time to the Q&A session for one who want to ask.
I see
Excuse me.
Ayu raise her hand from
Yes,
here.
oh yes. For Ayu Dwi Lestari,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can open your mic. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the time. First of all, I apologize for not being able to be on cam due to network issues. So my question is, referring to the presentation on the ICC's arrest warrants against Israel leaders, isn't it paradoxical that international criminal law aspires to universality, yet its enforcement remains selective and politically constrained by the interest of major powers? In this context, how can the Global South, particularly through initiatives like the Hagu Group, transform moral legitimacy into actual judicial and diplomatic leverage to ensure accountability? Thanks. That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, we see, you know, that everybody called that it is impossible to see ceasefire in Gaza. Yeah, because now the situation that Israel has a power and then has support by the United States. But you see also that now people in the world change their mind about the situation in Palestine. They are sympathetic with the suffering faced by the Palestinians. You know, I met a lot, more than 100 Palestinians in Amman, in Rafah, yeah, in several points in the, they are suffering a lot. You know, they are actually has no hope to be a normal life again. Yeah, so it is about time for us to how we can save them from the war. because the war creates suffering from Allah. So we have to do whatever Indonesia can do to help the Palestinians to get their independence. Yeah, don't talk about one state or two states. Yeah, but now can we accept support of international community of having the Palestinian to be independent, or we still continue to discuss about which one better, the one state or two state solution, and then you are just silent to see a lot of people were killed in Gaza. No, I think we have to do ourselves to help them, not to talk, but we have to help them because they are suffering. You know, they need help. Therefore, this is the time for us to help. You know, everyone discuss about impossibility of having ceasefire now, but now we can see that the ceasefire is actually happened in Gaza. And so, if we have see that ISF also established, and then we see the board of peace also work effectively, and I personally also supported if Indonesia also be member of board of peace, and then also Indonesia also sending the Garuda peacekeeping operation under the ISF, yeah, and also we support the Palestinian to be develop again, yeah, in Gaza. So I think it is the time for us to see the development of the Palestinian into a strong country.
Okay, everyone, because the limitation of the time, thank you for those who asking some question, and thank you for Mr. Makarim to answer the question. To all participants who still have a question to Mr. Makarim, it's feel free to share in the comment section, and we would share you the answer on our social media, on our Instagram. And now we jump into our second session, which is the material presenting by Mr. Professor Rami Nasrallah. Okay, Professor Rami, the floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First, I would love to appreciate, I would love to thank, Ambassador Professor Makarim for his comprehensive presentation. It's a roadmap, not only how to resolve the conflict, but how to engage with Indonesia. And before he's leaving us, allow me, Mr. Ambassador, to express the high interest of the Palestinians for such a model. And it's way beyond the international stability force and the peacekeeping force. Actually, we perceive Indonesia as a model that we can learn from. We cannot learn from the Marshall Plan, but we can learn definitely from a current recent model like Indonesia, including on how to develop our independent economy, how to work on decentralization, human capital, economic development, technology, etc. So Indonesia is needed in the region, and I'm glad that your president was 2 times in our region, and Indonesia is more active now to sustain peace and development for the Palestinians. So thank you so much. Allow me to share my presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
Professor
Yes.
Rami. Yes.
Yes.
It's audible.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Annisa, for the introduction and for being a mediator of this meeting. I will go a little bit. Everything, it didn't start on the 7th of October, and we should not forget this. I mean, this conflict actually started a long time before 1948, as Jewish settlers start to occupy 100 years even earlier to the 1948 and the declaration of the State of Israel. And we should not forget this and the roots of the conflict. I will go back to the peace negotiations, how it is started, and the asymmetric working assumptions of both sides, Palestinians and Israelis. So this table summarized how each side perceived the conflict and the resolution of the conflict. So it started with the Madrid Peace Conference in 1991. And on the border and territory, Israel accepted the idea of a limited Palestinian autonomy, nothing beyond that. And the Jerusalem was not at all part of the negotiation. I mean, they omitted from discussion, but mentioned in the U.S. letter of assurance that they submitted inviting the two parties. And then the issue of refugees was not discussed, that was omitted, and the same with the security arrangement. When we talk about the Oslo Accord, it is 1993 until 1995, 96. There's a mutual recognition. Palestinian interim self-government on 28 to 40% of the land in the West Bank and Gaza. A permanent settlements of unresolved issues within 5 years. I mean, we were supposed to reach a permanent status agreement by May 1999, based on a National on Security Council Resolution 242 and 338. And then the core issues should be postponed to the final stage of negotiations, which actually never started. And the issue of refugees was not discussed, and security arrangement was not discussed. Actually, there was a demand by the Israeli forces that you have to do this and this and this. You have to control your troops, your groups, your what they call terror groups, etc. In Camp David 2000, the two-state solution was raised for the first time. They were talking about Palestine, the state of Palestine, on 91% of the land with a swap between the two sides on both sides of the Green Line. Jerusalem was city divided into two cities based on ethno-national lines, with a special regime in the old city and the surrounding, what we call the the Holy Basin. The refugees, only small amount of refugees is allowed to return. When it comes to Jerusalem, it's very important to mention that Israel tried to push hard to get recognition that Al-Aqsa Mosque is a holy place for Jewish, and Palestinians should recognize the historical right of Israel, of the Jewish, on the first Qibla, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. Then the Taba negotiations, after the failure of the Camp David summit on Jerusalem issue, on the issue of sovereignty of Al-Haram al-Sharif, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, then they continue with the Taba summit. Israel reduced its demand to 94%, actually giving more territory for the Palestinian, annexing 3% of the territory, which is the main settlement blocks. And the Palestinian sovereignty over Arab neighborhoods and all Israeli settlement and Jewish neighborhoods, including in East Jerusalem, will be under sovereign Israel. Refugees, again, not discussed. Then they were talking about demilitarized West Bank. And at that time, that was only police forces. Annapolis, 2007, again, the two-state solution, independent Palestine on 94% of the land. They talk about 6% of swap within the Green Line. The Jordan Valley is omitted from the Israeli map. The Israelis all the time consider the Jordan Valley as their buffer zone for controlling the borders to the east. Division between the two states, the temple, what they call the Temple Mountain, Al-Haram al-Sharif, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, will be under international sovereignty, not Israel. Then they will allow less than 20,000 to return as refugees, and again, demilitarize the West Bank. That's what was the negotiations, but in reality, there's a de facto annexation, which involved military and demographic engineering, not as agreed within the agreement. Israel didn't stop at all creating more facts on the ground, controlling Jerusalem, controlling, changing the status quo, changing the status quo in Masjid al-Aqsa, no return for refugee, and they will have a superiority and they can control the border at any time. You know, if we talk about this de facto annexation, today there is around 980 gates, movement restrictions when it's come to border and territory and settlement. We talk about 60 new illegal outpost settlements created, more than you know, it's been doubled, all this settlement and settlement activities. And in Jerusalem, there's even a harsh reality where for the first time during the war on Gaza, Jewish start to practice not individual prayer, but group prayer in Al-Haram al-Sharif, in Masjid al-Aqsa, which is a precedent, and it never been the case. It is a violation of the status quo of the Jordan Hashemite custody on holy places. And when the war started, more than 14,000 housing units were approved in 31 master plans for you know, the settlements in East Jerusalem. And again, no mentioning of refugees. Actually, Palestinian became displaced, or 2 million Palestinians in Gaza and 45,000 in the West Bank when the Israel military operation demolish houses and evacuate, I mean, actually pushed Palestinian from those refugee camps in the north of the West Bank. You know, a lot of settler violence today is the you know, the olive you know, trees. The Palestinians are not allowed to pick their own olives, and this is a major symbolic and economic sector. And as you can see, the displacement is not only in Gaza, but 41 Palestinian community were expelled by force by settlers in the West Bank, with more than 1,762 people. In addition to 60 communities, they were before the war. This is the West Bank territory, and what you can see, this color is Area A, which is 18%. Area B, altogether 40%, but the majority of the land in Area C is 60% is under Israeli control. Jerusalem is in the heart of the West Bank, as you see. So it's all surrounded by West Bank, except to the west, which is Israel proper. And the West Bank is divided into governorates, and these are the governorates of the West Bank, from Jenin north to Hebron south, with Jerusalem in the center, with Ramallah, Jericho, and Bethlehem as the what we call the urban center of Palestine. Gaza is also divided into governorates, 5 governorates from the north. Gaza City, actually, I would say 70% of population live in the in this area in the Gaza City and the north, and this is the most affected area of the current war. And as you can see, Israel didn't stop even for one day to violate the possibility of a two-state solution. So as this is the Palestinian built-up area, and this is the settlements. So if you see the settlements, how it is blocking all the Palestinian communities all over the West Bank. And this is the military zone, mainly along the Jordan Valley. And they control natural reserve, which also under a kind of a military, and state land, where Israel declared any uncultivated land of Palestinian private ownership as a state land if within 3 years we're not allowed to cultivate, if they were not cultivating their land. But in reality, Israel prevented Palestinians from cultivating their land and to take care of their land. So that was the argument used for a state ownership declaration. And then, as you see, Israel built also a wall. This is the wall, which is double of the length between Israel proper and the West Bank, 700 20 actually, not 50, separation wall, annexing all East Jerusalem, annexing all settlements, blocks, as you see, all the road, the separation wall go deep in the West Bank, cutting all Palestinian, like this is Nablus, and this is like very close to Nablus settlement, this settlement of Ariel. Then 70% of the Palestinian territory, we have no access for development. 32% is a military, natural reserve, then state land, as you can see. So nothing left for Palestinians when we talk about territorial sovereign territory, land for, for this future Palestinian state. And there's a fragmentation of the area A and B. There's no contiguity. You see this number of 750,000 settlers in 2024. It's been like before the peace process started, there were less than 250,000 settlers. We talk about 1994. So 10% of the Jewish population within historical Palestine, they live in the occupied territories, East Jerusalem and the West Bank. This is the reality created by the settlement, by the wall, and it's been intensified. And there is even a law approved 2 days ago to annex the West Bank. And the Israeli Minister of Finance and a minister at the Ministry of what's called Defense, actually, it's a war ministry. Smotrich is talking about annexing 85% of the West Bank, meaning Palestinian demography should be limited only to 15%. If we look at Gaza, Mr. Ambassador mentioned the Trump plan, but actually this is the yellow line, which keep 50% of Gaza Strip, which is a very tiny territory, 365 square kilometers. And still Israel created more than 40 military camps or bases within these areas, and you can see all of them. And if you divide this on, you see Rafah has been totally wiped by the Israeli military as a city, and it have the biggest number of military bases, which is 13. And this is a satellite image from 2 days ago, so this is quite new. So the occupation of Gaza and limit Gaza to 50% of its territory is becoming a fact on the ground. I assume this fact will not be easy to remove. So what factors shape the Palestinian future? And here we are discussing the two-state solution and trying to be critical about the two-state solution. I mean, you see this complex and the Palestinian main driving force is national inspiration and ending the occupation and free Palestine. Israeli driving force is to keep what they call security, control, to colonize Palestine. As then you see that it's been even intensified. And the Israeli plan is to make the West Bank a major population of the national religious, the ultra-Orthodox. They will be residing in the West Bank and not in Israel proper. So it's been a very complex situation. So these are factors identified by a group of scenario building. It is a group of Palestinians who worked for 2 years. We talk about almost altogether 120 people working on identifying, a scenario building process. And these are as you see, number one is freedom, national liberation and national inspiration. And they talk about a new national agenda, post-conflict agenda, strong leadership, dignity, trust. These are all the values that Palestinians look for. Free, fair, democratic election. Israel stopped election in the West Bank for years, since 2007, and they didn't recognize, not the US, not Europe, not the West, not Israel, the election results in 2006. And this led us to a territory, Gaza, controlled by Hamas, and to the wars started in 2008. So the war in Gaza in October 2003 is not new. Destruction took place a long time ago before that, but not with this scale. Then Palestinians talk about controlling sovereign borders, good governance, transparency, the right to live free from fear and danger. The free mobility is issue, because today we have almost 1,000 gates on every Palestinian village. You are not allowed to go out. Lack of Palestinian unity, social cohesion. I will go fast through this because we don't need to go through all the factors. And these are also the factors shaping the Gaza future. The international engagement and support, post-conflict recovery and reconstruction, efficient reconstruction, and transparency and accountability. And I think here we can learn a lot from Indonesia and from Aceh, and how you did it, and how you create a community grassroots movement, which was the accelerator of the reconstruction. I don't think international engagement will lead to any recovery or reconstruction. They are trying to get UNRWA out. That's the yesterday the Americans declare UNRWA is not going to be allowed to operate because they want to end the refugee issue. Priority should be of shelter, rebuilding schools, university infrastructures. All the 63 buildings of university were completely destroyed. Mental health. There's 1 million Palestinian kids who need a mental health because of this trauma of 2 years of bombing non-stop. The municipalities, the local government, the decentralization, it will have an impact. I don't want to go, this is the flower of the mind map. All these factors and the driving, this is the future of Palestine. It's about the physical occupation, the planning economy, political system, peace process, Gaza connectivity with the West Bank, community development, and national inspiration. And these are the mega trends, which is demography, climate change, education, and technology. These are the high impact with low uncertainty, because we know the growth. Because in there's 2.4 in Palestinians in West Bank and Gaza compared to the growth rate is 2.4 in West Bank and Gaza compared to 2.1 in Israel. We talk about around 9 million Palestinians will be in the West Bank and Gaza by the year 2050. These are the game changers: high impact and high uncertainty, conflict leadership, international engagement. We don't know how the Americans will behave. We don't trust the Americans. There was no at all successful story in our region, whether in Iraq, Syria, name it. Then how to safeguard Palestinian identity and existence. The resilience is very important for us Palestinians. Preserving our cultural resilience is very important. Controlling our resources, Gaza oil and the Gaza marine is the one that Mr. Tony Blair was trying to push hard as British gas. By the way, Tony Blair is not accepted by the Palestinians to rule Gaza, and not by Qatar, and not by Turkey. Maybe Egypt, they accepted him, but I don't think he will be there. So, I mean, we can go to future Palestinian scenarios. There is a scenario which is actually what we are in today. This is our status quo: scorched earth in Gaza, broken West Bank, a weak Palestinian leadership. We could move easily to end the national aspiration, displacing Gaza population, ethnic cleansing, annexation of the West Bank. This is what the talk of today. This is on the agenda. It's not a imagination. Or we can keep our ribat, which is deep of our resilient as a Palestinians, and rebuild our home and memories, safeguard Palestinian identity and existence, reinforce community resilience, social cohesion. And this is what we are doing now, whether in Jerusalem or in Gaza or in the West Bank, because we have a weak leadership, unable to influence the situation, unable to reach to the desired two-state solution. Or we can go to another interim agreement, and this is what maybe Trump is trying to do with the Gaza plan, another conflict management, which could never lead to a comprehensive political solution. And this is the experience of the Oslo. We call it the Neo-Oslo scenario. The vision of Palestinians to have a vibrant, democratic, prosperous, independent state, live in peace alongside the state of Israel, fully integrated in the region. This is our desire as Palestinians. And actually today we are on polarized antagonist status quo. And this is, we are moving toward this direction: intensified conflict, unprecedented, continuous destruction in Gaza and the West Bank, displacement of Palestinians, as you could see. And this will lead us to here for the ending the national aspirations, or could get us to the resilience under continuous conflict and rebuilding our home memories. And this is very important. Or we go toward statehood, where national aspiration, statehood, and regional peace and development could lead us to one Palestine, meaning unified West Bank and Gaza in a two-state solution. These are all the factors and the variation and how we build the scenarios. And these are the scenarios that just I mentioned and how they will be reflected on the reconstruction of Gaza. And, you know, again, there's a lack of international commitment. We talk about $67 billion needed to work on the reconstruction of Gaza today. I don't see any commitment for any country. And I think Israel should be responsible of this destruction, and they should pay for it and not to free them from this. I assume that Israel will not allow a massive reconstruction. They will try to push by force, by displacement, because it's unlivable space. You cannot live in Gaza. Imagine you have 2 million people. They have no home to go back. They are living in a tent. They have no schools. They have no universities, no infrastructure, not even a basic infrastructure. And this could still the neo-colonial enterprise. These extreme right-wing parties, they look at Gaza, especially the 50% which is occupied there, to be the settlement, building settlement there, and they declare it. Even they have a master plan for these settlements in Gaza. Ribat, under Ribat, we continue our resilience within the conflict. There will be a minimum of the international community engagement in providing a very limited basic healthcare, education, water, and electricity, very limited provision of a permanent shelter solution. There will be no mass building for housing. The towards statehood reconstruction as a transition, ending occupation towards independent Palestinian state. This is what was being, in a very shy way mentioned in the Trump plan, but actually Trump said we are not talking about a two-state solution, and Israelis will not allow it. And it is a lip service for the Arab Muslim country that this is within the solution and the permanent solution. I don't think this is going to happen. Reconstruction aligned with the national aspiration and unity, good governance, national infrastructure. That's the what we call intermediate transitional reconstruction model which could emerge. But again, and this is what Mr. Ambassador talking about, global coalition to establish a Palestinian state. And here there is an important role for Indonesia. Construction in the context of Palestinian state and regional development, pushing for it. Anthedon is the name of Gaza as a main seaport within the region. It's a regional hub, connect India, Yemen, Arabia with Europe. That was Anthedon. Gaza had a regional hub, talk about the Byzantine, even under Islamic rule. Regional peace, prosperity, and stability, this will not be possible unless there is an independent one Palestine sustainable. How this is going to reflect on the Israeli side? I mean, the current situation is actually promoting apartheid. They will not allow, they will deepening the occupation, annexation, and this is what's going on now. Or Israel will be an island. Reality in Gaza will continue as a scorched earth, humanitarian aid, but Israel is an island. No one is really want to have any connection with Israel. Or it could move again to be accepted with a minimum link to health, energy, infrastructure, minimum regional connectivity, but still it's going to be by itself, for itself, with no regional cooperation. If we are moving to a kind of a solution as a transitional or as another permanent, there could be a connectivity, changing Israeli plans to create physical link with the region, etc. And under the two-state solution, we talk fully about how to integrate State of Palestine, State of Israel within the new regional order. So these are the reflections of what's going to happen on the Palestinian side and how it's being reflected on the Israeli side. Actually, it is on the other way side. This is what Israel is planning, and this is the reality that they cause in our side. I want to move into the Donald Trump Gaza plan. And this should be clear. They talk about transitional governance model, replaces immediate Palestinian political sovereignty with a temporary international supervised administration. They talk about demilitarizing Gaza, complete disarm of armed factions with a strict security oversight. They talk about technocrat government, not Hamas, not Fatah, under the international supervision. They want to create, what's Mr. Ambassador mentioned about the international stabilized force deployed to secure security and maintain order during the transition, which is mainly for Israel, not for the Palestinians. Hamas excluded from power, governance limited to non-factional technocrats, no permanent Israeli occupation, but Israeli occupation continued. I assume it will continue. They will find the right argument, especially with the disarming Hamas, to keep their occupation and to create a buffer zone between Israel and Gaza, which is 50% of the territory of Gaza. Israel committed to phased withdrawal. This will not happen, I assume. And then a large-scale reconstruction and aid, focus on rebuilding infrastructure, housing, and essential services. Gaza, new Gaza, and this is the framework of the economic recovery, the Rivera, it will not work. This is Palestinians need their home. They are refugees. 70% of Gaza population were refugees from 1948, which is Israel proper. They build their narrative around being refugee, and they want to stay. The people are going back to their home, but there is no home to stay in. But still, they want to build their tent next to their neighborhood house, mosque, market, and school. They have to be aware of this, how people are attached to land. They are weakening the Palestinian agency, governance, and decision-making placed largely on external hands, not Palestinians. I don't think all of them have legitimacy. Actually, US have no legitimacy. Among all the parties that they mentioned, maybe Indonesia will be perceived as the only neutral accepted by large Palestinian communities, because they know Indonesia. They've been to Indonesia. Indonesia been to Gaza, and they have a positive experience with Indonesia role. The risk of political fragmentation, separation between Gaza and the West Bank will deepen internal Palestinian division. I assume this will continue, especially that Americans declare that Palestinian Authority will have no role to play, at least for now, in Gaza. Security guarantees for Israel, that's, I think, the one who conduct genocide and killing almost 100,000 Palestinians, and you're still talking about security guarantees for Israel without seeing the Palestinians. That's another crime and another genocide. So we have to be very careful about it. Thank you so much, and I'm be glad to answer your questions.
Okay, Professor Rami, thank you so much for the insight and the opinion toward the issue of this two-state solution. Professor Rami told us about the wider fragmentation in the West Bank that fully controlled by Israel, and there is no access for Palestinians to development. And if we talk about territory, there is a complex situation. And Professor Rami talking about the future of Palestine, that they want freedom, to have a democratic election and free from fear and danger. And also mention about the scenarios of future Palestine, the reconstruction point, and also the Donald Trump's Gaza plan that happened and released now for future Palestine and Israel. Now everyone, we are giving you the opportunity to ask questions. For those who want to ask questions for Professor Rami, you can type them in the chat column or activate your raise hand feature. Professor, I think there is no question so far. Would you mind if I ask the question first? Okay. Okay. I would like to ask the question. Oh, okay. So, Mr. Adrian wants to deliver his question. You can turn on your mic, Mr. Adrian.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Rami. How are you, Mr. Professor?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so basically, I quite get your presentation, which is really comprehensive, and the point that really piqued my mind here that the main problem about Israel and Palestine here basically are in the social structure about their nation, that hand in hand they are living together with the Jewish social, right? So this is a quite complex for them. In the Palestinian side, they are afraid that like we know today, this day they experience a massive kill on their land. And then for the Israel another hand, they also have a complex security because they are living hand by hand with the Islamic country, like most of the regional, right? So after your presentation, I recognize that the way that internationals community this day want to build the Gaza country is not only to I mean they want to leave all of the Palestinian society over the political ways, like the security, like we've mentioned before from Professor Rami, and then also from His Excellency Mr. Makarim said that it will guided by the international society, and there is no participation from either Hamas or Hezbollah. So my question is it are you agree that in the future, if this plan will be accepted or applicated, is it that the I mean the Palestinian would not having sort of like sovereignty that like normal nation like Indonesian or maybe the African nation, that they like have their own cultures and stuff like that? Because the way I see the Palestinian and their plan is they all have no rules on their own sovereignty. They only have like their nation and their safety, but not their freedom like that. How do you see it, Professor?
Kepada SDR ATMHT yang dipandu oleh moderator kita, Tulus Budi Prasetyo.
Jangan, ada Lord, nggak usah warin.
Mr. Rami, is my question is clear?
Yeah. I mean, there was some someone was talking. I think we should be more careful about what's going on. There is a Trump plan, but who knows the details of the Trump plan? There's no details. There's no mechanism. Simply, this plan is to end the war and to continue with the Israeli operation, military operation in other ways. What they couldn't achieve in 2 years, maybe they could achieve now, especially with disarming Hamas, which I doubt it, because Hamas is now back to its military control of Gaza, not including on security, municipalities, services, ministries, schools, etc. So Hamas is back again as the ruling party in Gaza. So how you will get rid of them? You are telling them, I'm going to sign an agreement with you. You are going to release Israeli hostages. You are going to be dismissed by us, but for now, you are taking control of Gaza. I mean, there is no sense of it. I mean, I don't know what the Americans are doing. They declare a plan, but the details of this plan is not clear for me. And definitely it have nothing to do with my national inspiration. One time they want to build Rivera, meaning no Palestinians. Another time they want to allow the Palestinians to stay. Where they are going to stay? If you are building Rivera for international tourism and you don't allow Palestinian fabric. So we have to be very careful about the Americans and their plans. I don't think this is going to succeed. The conflict will continue unless there is a strong international community pressure on the Americans. You know why Trump mentioned the Palestinian self-determination? Because the Arab countries and Muslim countries asked for it. You know, Qatar insists on that. Turkey insists on that. The same with Egypt. So without this pressure by international, by Arab Muslim country, I doubt that the Americans will do anything for the benefit of the Palestinians, because they design everything. Could you imagine that you declare a plan for peace, and next to you, you have the Israeli prime minister who is a criminal, you know, and he needs to be arrested, and he's declaring a peace plan. There's no logic here. There should be a coalition, an international coalition led by the global South country, not by the West, not by America, not by Europe, because they did nothing. As you could see from 91, the Madrid Peace Conference, until today, they couldn't influence the peace agenda. So why I should believe now that the Americans are coming with a peace agenda? I doubt it. So we have to be careful. Palestinians should keep their resilient on the ground. They should not, I mean, their message was clear. We are not going to be displaced. We are not going to leave our Palestine. We are staying here, even though we have no houses. You know, in 1948, Israel pushed 750,000 Palestinians became refugees. They left their homes, and Israel destroyed those homes. More than 500 villages were completely destroyed, and they left. But now Israel is destroying 460,000 units. We have no houses to stay, but we didn't leave. We are staying in our land. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. But I think it's gonna be a little bit development from my question, since you have stated your own statement on an answer. So the things that I want to ask about this international, I don't know whether is it an institutional or organization that you mentioned before, strong enough to give a pressure to the American. What aspect do you think that it will give the most pressure on them? Is it like in the security, like a military, or politicals, or either it's like economics? Because we know that in this day America also get the pressure from the economic side, but I don't know, they still give their all the things that they like, pretending like they rules the world and etc. So what do you think, Mr. Professor?
You know, no one knows what I mean. Actually, this international stability force and this, you know, committee, board, whatever, no one knows what is their function, what is their duties, and how they are going to do this. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. You have to be careful about these big slogans and big plans declared with no content. I mean, this plan is to babysitter Israel. If it's not clear for you, we have a problem. It's to babysitter Israel. It's not to take care of the Palestinian interests. Let this be clear. And it's up to countries like Qatar, Turkey, Egypt, Indonesia, to make sure that this will lead to a solution, to a resolution of the conflict. It will not be only to babysitter Israel. And we intend all the time to forget. Security is an outproduct of peace. It's not a condition for peace, right? So why we keep talking about the security of Israel? You know, the hell with this security of Israel. They attacked 8 Arab countries, Muslim countries. They are now proud that they could defeat Iran. They defeated Hezbollah. They defeated Hamas. They defeated Syria. They defeated Yemen. This is the Israeli narrative today. And if you listen to their media, they are becoming superpower. We are the greater Israel. We defeated everyone. We are going to be the superpower of the region. They are not anymore the police of the region. They became the gang of the region. And this needs to be clear to everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor. It's clear enough for me. Thank you. And thank you, Moderator.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Adrian and Professor Rami. And it seems like we have another questioner here. For Mr. Rasha Iza, you can turn on your microphone.
Okay, good afternoon Indonesian time. Professor Rami Nasrallah, such an honor to be here listening to your lecture. Questioning about the weakened leadership. You know, talking about the leadership, that weakened leadership could lead Palestinian to a big loss to Israel. But I've currently discussing about the dispute between Hamas and Fatah, which is the two leading parties in Palestine. So, is it a real concern for all of us who is supporting Palestine about the dispute between Hamas and Fatah that would lead to weaken the leadership of Palestine, and that which could lead to the dissolve of Palestine by Israel? Thank you.
You know, I think this is a very important question, and the weakness of leadership is the source of it is the lack of sovereignty for Palestinians and the ability to influence the ground. They couldn't do anything, especially in the West Bank. I don't think the Hamas Fatah is something that you can feel on daily life of the Palestinians as a major obstacle, because Palestinians are not divided into two camps, Hamas, Fatah. I mean, in the same family, you have, you know, members of the family support Hamas, others support Fatah, and it is not a political split at the level of the daily life fabric. It's a political that Israel and the US pushed all the time to make this gap bigger and bigger. They were all the time blocking the reconciliation. You know how many times they agreed on reconciliation, and the one who stopped this was the Americans and Israel. So the intervention by the U.S. and Israel to block, reconciliation was a major factor to prevent any, unity among the Palestinians. There is no big gap between different fractions. They can disagree on that we support negotiations, and Hamas, they believed in pressure during negotiations to gain more through the negotiations. That's one part that they presented. Now the war make it even worse, because the precondition of the international community now is to get rid of Hamas. I doubt this. How you can get rid of, 40% or 50% or less or more of the Palestinian people? This is not just, the group of military, which is 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. What about the 2 million Palestinians living in Gaza? Are they all Hamas? What about the 3 million Palestinians live in West Bank? Are they, divided Hamas and Fatah? I doubt it. The issue here is to give the Palestinians the right to decide for themselves. I don't need Tony Blair to be the governor of Gaza. I need to have a free, fair election. Let the Palestinians decide. Now, we have to go for election now, without all the Israeli restrictions. The Israelis put many restrictions not to allow, democratic election. We have a president who was elected in 2006, 20 years ago. Could you imagine that a president sitting for 20 years ago? For 20 years with no elections, with no democracy, we have no parliament, we have no political parties, we have no political participation. It is mainly a Palestinian Authority controlled by Israel. So the issue here is not unity. Unity will happen when you have a political participation.
Thank you, Jazakumullah khair, Professor Rami, for the answer. And finally, I'm enlightened by your answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for Professor Rami and for all who have a question today. But I'm so sorry we have a time limit. So to all participants who ask question in the chat columns, we will share your answer on our Instagram or social media. And I want to give it the floor back to Mr. Rami to deliver the closing statement for end our today's session.
Sorry, come again. I didn't.
Closing statement, Prof.
Closing statement.
Yes.
It is an open-end conflict, so how should I close? Thank you so much for this opportunity. I think there's a need more to move and allow me to speak as a someone who's from. I mean, we are brothers and sisters, and we perceive Indonesia as our main solidarity and brotherhood partner. And whatever goes in Jerusalem and Al-Aqsa, you can feel it immediately in the streets of Jakarta with demonstrations. So for us Palestinians, Indonesia is the main and the major supporter at all levels. So we need to move this from solidarity, sympathy, support, supporting the Palestinians into a real partnership, into engagement. And we can learn a lot from you. As mentioned before, we don't need to learn from Europe. We can't learn from Europe. We learn from what's going on a recent experience like the one that you have, including on the reconstruction of Gaza. You have experience with Aceh, which is a similar case of completely, the destruction. We can learn a lot from your decentralization and development and how the village fund operated, how you created capacities, education, higher education, professional education, economic development, technology, etc. These tools are most needed. Solidarity and political support is important, but it's more important to help us to be to empower ourselves, to keep our resilient, to enlarge our resilience, and to keep being here on this land. Otherwise, we are done. We are completely, will be pushed out. Palestinians, if they'll continue to be under this pressure, they have no tools. We've been suffering for many, many years. So I would love really to thank you for this opportunity to talk to Indonesian brothers and sisters, and to bring the situation from the ground. I'm in Jerusalem now. I live in Jerusalem, and I feel it on every day. What's going on? I mean, when you walk on the street, when you drive your car, all what you are talking about is my daily life issues. So it is important that you keep this relation with the ground, and you listen to the people beyond the solidarity and support for the Palestinians. This to establish a true partnership. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rami, for the great session, great discussion, and very, very insightful materials. And everyone, it turns out that we have reached the end of this afternoon webinars, but allow me to say the conclusion that we have drawn for Mr. Makarim and Professor Rami. So the Israeli making a cultural attack and making Palestinian worse for a long time ago. There is a massive international support for Gaza today, like the Hague Group, who helped for independence for Palestine, and some great countries like Qatar, Egypt, and USA say their support for Palestine. There's a point that made by Donald Trump as a USA president, like making Board of Peace and Security safe for Palestine. and Gaza, as soon as possible, will be radicalized and free from terror. Indonesia should play a role in the end of conflict by support ISF, by sending a Garuda peacekeeping and also supporting Palestine economic. And there's a complex situation here. If we're talking about the future of Palestinian, they want freedom, free to have a democratic election, and free from fear and danger. Scenarios of future Palestine is like Neo-Oslo and making one Palestine. And for a construction that have a huge and high cost, Israel should responsible and pay for this, and rebuilding the country, homes and memories, resilience under continuous conflict until establish the Palestinian state. And also the Donald Trump Gaza's plan that have so many points for become a future plan for Palestine and Israeli conflicts. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much to our two amazing speakers and to everyone for their enthusiasm. Finally, I apologize if I have any mistakes, and I hope to see you all again in the future, maybe in the next IPF webinar or IPF talks. I'm Annisa Sekar, and I'll hand it back to Amal as the master of ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Annisa. What a thought-provoking discussion that was. We've just heard a variety of compelling perspectives on Palestinian future from both Professor Rami and Mr. Makarim himself. Though the topic is indeed heavy, it is close to our heart, and it is important that we talk about the future of Palestine with continued dialogue to be critical and understanding. And we can only hope and pray that one day lasting peace and solution will prevail soon. And as we come to the close of today's webinar, let us commemorate this moment with a group photo together. So please, everyone, kindly turn on your cameras as I call upon the operator or the documentation team to take a picture and capture this moment. All right. As we wait for all of our participants to turn on their operating team, please be
Okay.
on stand.
Okay, moderator, thank you. Now I'll take over the photo session. Okay, please. All of you turn the camera, give your brightest smile, and in 1, 2, and 3. Once again, give your brightest smile, show your beautiful and handsome face in 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you. I give my time back to the moderator, to the MC.
All right. Thank you very much. Before we bid farewell and end today's event, on behalf of the International Politics Forum, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our honorable speakers, Mr. Makarim and Professor Rami, and to our wonderful moderator, Annisa, and of course, to all of our dearest participants. Thank you again for making this event so meaningful and engaging. And from here on, let us continue to show our solidarity and hope for peace in Palestine. And may we stand united as symbols of compassion and justice for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Until next time, thank you all and have a wonderful day ahead.
Oh, si Amal keluar